It is Amazon Lily time.
I say we get into this, and the reason is there's a lot going
We've a
on.
lot to cover.
So we get there, and you know what? This proves so many things. And I have a whole idea about Kuma, and because it's a little quirky from last episode, I'm going to put my idea out there right now. So Kuma shoots everyone off into different areas, and I got to say that I love where they went. Each one of the places, I can already see the value of the types of things it's going to bring back to the Straw Hats when they all come back together again. Like you've got all of these different places where they're getting information that they otherwise wouldn't have had. So this actually, he sent them all to places that I want to predict in a corkboardy kind of way are actually going to help them further down their path and going to help Luffy to be the right type of god.
Okay. So helping Luffy be the right type of god and helping the crew learn what they need to.
Yeah, because he sent them to places where they're finding out things about work internment camps. They're finding out about the different types of islands and the needs of people. And the Dr. Vegapunk's island, and Frankie's finding out a lot more about himself and being a cyborg. Like there's going to be all sorts of things going on here because of the places that he sent them. And I was like, yes, yes, and yes. Did somebody delete your art?
For the bit of saying I'm not erasing women, I'm actively drawing women. All right. Fuck, Boa's back looks so good though. All right, it's gone. She is gone. Are you happy? I'm erasing women.
I'm erasing women.
So in Japan, after World War II, because of the bombs being dropped on Hiroshima and Nagasaki, they made it so that it is actually in constitutionally banned for Japan to go to war. And the only way that Japan is allowed to fight is if they are first fought upon. So it's only a defensive fighting. They can fight, but it started to make me think about Kuma and how he is called a pacifisto, and whether or not what's happening is Oda is making a direct connection between Kuma and Japan and their new feelings on war and fighting, and if he represents the idea of the way that Japan now sees war, going to war and being in war only as a potential thing for pacifists. But they've made him an ultimate defense machine because he was fighting with that other woman who was pure defensive. Thank you for your subs.
That's a dude. Sorry, that is a dude.
Right, that's right. You told me that.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to call them.
Sentomaru is a guy. They are based off of traditional sumo.
Sure, okay. And so when I was looking at them as a defensive thing, and I was thinking, it's interesting that they put those two together in particular when Japan has this constitutional perspective of never being the aggressor and war being off limits, which of course you would if your nation was the nation that had atomic bombs dropped on it. When Kuma moves them everywhere, I thought about how he is a pacifist and he is looking for change in the world. And I now see Kuma in the future as being somebody who actually is against the ultimate godlike dragons of jerkdom. I think he sent them to all the different places that they are because he knew that it was going to give them what they need. Because he wants to see the world be a better, more pacifistic place. And so I think that these are the places that he chose for a reason. And he definitely put Luffy in the right spot. And we definitely also needed Luffy to be on his own again. So that he could kind of re-go through the whole process of his journey of seeing who he is and what his beliefs are, and if when he's alone he has the same trajectory as when he is with a group.
And I think it's so powerful because we see that Luffy is a different person, because in the beginning he was an idiot who was like, yeah, a dinghy, I'll be the king of the pirates, I'll sail around. And he has the growth to walk around, and sure, he's lost without his crew. He doesn't know what to eat, he doesn't know how to treat his wounds, but he also finds a boat and is like, I just get lost if I go out on my own. And that shows so much wisdom about the world that he's gained, that he knows how important everyone is.
The other thing about Luffy being on this world by himself is that he's been leaning, as he should, he's been leaning into other people's talents. And so now he is having to lean in his own talents in a lot of ways. And what happens to him right away? He eats stupid shit and ends up covered in mushrooms that could actually kill him.
The main thing you want to talk about in Amazon Lily is Boa.
Yes, but I want to move forward. So I loved Amazon Lily. I love that we're doing an Amazon thing. We could go into the Amazon lore and mythos all day long. I don't know if you know this as a person who is 6'2" and female. Amazon is kind of a thing I paid attention to. But the thing that I wanted to focus on here so that we can have enough time to properly move through Impel Down is Boa.
Oh yeah, you get a gold star because we meet Boa. That's a female warlord. You said there'd be one.
Female warlord, right.
Ding.
Person who does the thing, make a sound like this.
I'm doing this one, so this is me. Hey, future Druck, yeah? Gold star. Sorry, what was that sound, Mama? What was the sound it's gonna do?
Woohoo!
Oh yeah, you get a gold star because we meet Boa. That's a female warlord. You said there'd be one.
Female warlord, right. Woohoo! People need to give credit to Amazon Lily as being one of the funniest frickin' arcs in the history of
It's
ever.
up there with Thriller Bark and Syrup Village for just the density of humor.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Every page is another pure piece of joy. And he needed to do that because he was about to take us into hell, literally. And so he had to say to himself,
never mind.
This has been very, very sad. I think that I'm going to be a good kid. Oh, God. Thank you, Sushi. You've already given a bunch of things.
You're incredible.
And this one is for Straw. I forgot to press it because I started coughing out my lungs instead. You don't know because I was a good kid and turned off the mic. So the humor in this one is just top tier. I keep looking at it and being like, God damn, that's amazing. But when he was having the fight with the sisters, I was like just loving it because when he released his haki and he silenced the whole crowd and knocked them out the way that the knight did when they were in the slave trade, it was immediately people were like, that haki just now was that of the Supreme King. So then I was like, is there a prophecy around the Supreme King and haki? Is this a thing that's going on within this world? That there, for some people, they have a prophecy of there being a person with such high haki. And then it said, that's the haki of the chosen one. And I was like, there's definitely got to be some sort of...
However, they then go on to say, just like Boa.
I know they do say that. But I think that there is a chosen one legend mixed with the ability and the opportunity and the people who will help, et cetera, et cetera. So I think there's some sort of chosen one thing going on with Luffy. Because I'm re-looking at the way of what a god looks like for Luffy. Because I've discovered in Impel Down, like you and I were talking about, I've definitely discovered that he does things in weird ways. Like,
we need to save that for Impel Down.
Remind me to get into that?
Yeah, we need to save that for Impel Down, but I'm so excited to talk about that because I think Impel Down shifts how you look at allegory in One Piece in such a cool way.
Yeah. It also said that man was born in, that man is a natural born king. And so I'm wondering whether Luffy's sun god powers are going to come from his haki.
Ooh,
and whether
interesting.
Whether tapping into his haki, give Belly a treat. Tapping into his haki, learning how to use his haki, being trained in his haki. I mean, you know what would make me really happy is if we ever had a goddamn montage. I love me a montage, and I can't believe somebody born in my generation who's only 2 years younger than me doesn't love himself a montage.
Are you gonna do a prediction of a hockey montage?
I am. That somebody is going to, there's going to be a whole train Luffy in to really, really tap into his haki, and it's going to be a.
Here's a fun one. Do you think his hockey mentor is going to be... Oh, wait. I just dropped all the drop tweets. This is an emergency. No, Belle, those aren't for you right now. Do you want to predict if we're going to get a new character to be his mentor, or if it'll be someone we know, and if it's someone we know, who will it be?
So if it's someone we know, I don't think it'll be Boa, because she's so much in love with Luffy. I would really like it to not be Boa.
Exactly. The in love thing makes it feel like not a mentor-mentee relationship.
It's just awkward. When somebody is in love with you, they just don't have the same, yeah, you know what I mean? If it's somebody that we know, I think it would be a Rayleigh.
Okay, I could see that.
Maybe, but you want to know who I hope it is?
Who?
Red-haired Shanks.
Red-haired Shanks is an interesting one because I see that, but also he said, meet me when you're a great pirate. Do you think Luffy's ready for that?
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. So it could also be my main man.
Mihawk?
Yeah. Because
I think it's very funny that both of us have a character that if I say my main man, people will know who we're talking about.
Yes.
And for neither of us, it's our favorite character because both of our favorite character is Luffy.
Yeah, that's true. But Rayleigh could be a great trainer of the Hacky, and I'm hoping we're going to get a montage. I'm predicting that we are. And then so would Mihawk. He would be an amazing trainer. You know who wouldn't?
Who?
That shithead Blackbeard.
What? You don't think Teach is going to sit down and be like, all right, Straw Hat, sit down. I got to teach you some things about hockey. Let's get the basic principles out of the way.
My name is Teach, and I'm here to say we're going to learn some Hacky today. So now I think we're going to have a person who's going to be teaching Luffy how to tap into his Hacky, and then it's going to be a cool montage. If it's somebody that we know, it's going to be one of those people, in my opinion.
Nice.
I don't think it's going to be Kuma, because Kuma said we're not going to see you again. He's a liar. We're obviously going to see him in the future, because the way that people were talking inside of the chat before made me know that Kuma comes back later on and will probably be interacting with my boys and my Straw Hats.
Your boys and your Straw Hats. Was that just you remembering that there were girls in the Straw Hats and not knowing how to land the sentence?
Yeah.
Okay.
Racing women.
And then we've got, because I also know we're going to get another girl on the crew.
You have certainty about this?
Yeah.
All right.
That's not a prediction. That's me future sighting.
I do like that you're honest about when your predictions come from chat spoiling you about stuff. I think it makes everything else have a lot more validity, that you'll be like, yeah, I know this because you bastards told me.
No, and they tell you by accident, because sometimes they say a couple of things but it's me.
Yeah,
and
no,
so
you can pull a clue out of a haystack.
I get so little information that if anything comes up, I'm like, thank you.
Yeah.
So that was the thing that I got from that. Then the other thing that I got from there is that Hacky can be placed on objects, which wasn't something that I had been privy to yet.
Yeah.
And so the people on Amazon Lily wrapped their arrow points and other things in Hacky. And so they treated it, and I started to ask all these questions like, holy shit, okay, if it can be placed on an object, how long can it be left on an object? How far away from the person who originally put it on can it stay on it? Is it permanent, or does it dissolve in some way after some time?
These are very good questions, because we know it's not only when they're touching it, because the Kuja do it with arrows, which is why their arrows fucking explode on contact.
So the Hacky leaves their body at high velocity in long distances. Yeah. So you start to wonder, like, how far can it go, and what kind of different things can you put on things? So what kind of Hacky are they putting on the arrowheads? Is it just directionality and aiming? Is it some sort of almost like,
because you for the first time know that there's types, because you know that the Hacky that Shanks did and the Hacky that Luffy did is a type. So now that you know there's types, you have to wonder, what is the type that make arrow explode?
What are the other types of types? And so because of that, now I'm like, okay, now how long do we get to keep Hacky on things, and what is that going to do? So now I have a million questions about Hacky and in which ways we can use it, because I start to think about the way you could lay out traps, nets, line a boat with it, and all sorts of stuff. Like, I think that we're going to see Luffy moving towards the end, being able to manipulate Hacky in an incredible way. And I also wonder now, how will Hacky be used with the magic circles? Okay. Do we need to pour the energy of Hacky into them? Because it's obviously not devil fruit. That doesn't make any sense.
You definitely got an observation recently from chat where you saw someone point out that, oh my god, she noticed the magic circles this early. So you've come to the conclusion they're not being used for a while.
Yeah. Yeah, a bunch of people were like, oh, mama noticed the magic circles already. And so I was like, okay, so the next time we see them and they're actually getting used is going to be quite a distance in the future. So Luffy will be amazingly trained by then. So then I wonder to myself, okay, how do you open up and use the magic circles? Do those people know the power of the magic circles and how to use them? Or is this a thing that Luffy is going to be able to access for the first time? I don't know. I'm thinking right now. The next thing that I noticed about this arc was that Hancock has one of the actually saddest backstories in this entire freaking thing so far, and that is saying something.
Yeah, in a series where, as a commenter said, Mama Drunk reached her first genocide, is a statement you can make. Boa's backstory is uniquely horrifying to the point that Oda didn't show it to us.
So this is what I told you. People don't talk about it much, and like when we
Remember,
talk,
there's
Oda,
words we can't use.
Yes, and when I was reading it, I was saying like, holy crap, this is such a bad backstory that Oda just hints around it. And so you're talking about she was taken at 12. So that would make her little sisters probably like 9 and 7 or 10 and 8 or something.
Yeah.
Little baby
11
kids.
if you're fucking lucky.
If you're lucky. These are babies. And they were taken to a place and clearly used for sex. She was clearly used for sex.
It feels like any other implication doesn't line up with how it's written.
You can see the way he does it. He doesn't say it, but he makes it so you know.
Yeah.
And she was obviously also beaten. They gave her the love fruit as like a laugh in her face, where they used her beauty against her, and her beauty had been taken and turned as a weapon against her. You are so beautiful that it's going to cost you your sanity, trauma, your peace of mind, your body, your well-being, and it absolutely, her beauty was turned into a weapon against her. So everyone can suck it. I don't care that she kicks kittens, and I don't care that she kicks all the things, and that she turned around in the end and used her beauty as a weapon facing outwards. It's perfect. It is absolutely masterful that somebody who was beaten, tortured, essayed, had to watch her sisters go through that, had her own looks turned against her, would then use her looks as a weapon. And I know how it mirrors Medusa. Absolutely, it's total Greek mythology, and absolutely, it's a whole kingdom of states.
Are you saying in this section of these 2 arcs we're reading that Oda would reference mythology? That feels crazy.
It does feel crazy. I like that he chose Chinese temples, et cetera, in the back, and he talks about how, why did I do it? I liked it. But for me, yeah, it also felt like, and this is stretching it, and let me tell you, I stretch things. But there's a whole area in Japan that we don't ever talk about. And when you study Japanese history in university, you go over it quite deeply and talk about comfort women.
Oh my, yeah. Are you thinking that this, it makes sense because when Oda's questioned why this is Chinese influenced, this victim, he just says, I felt like it, which is what you have to do in Japan. You aren't allowed to acknowledge it directly.
Exactly. Because you're not allowed to acknowledge comfort women. If you are in university, you can talk about it if you're university in Canada, but you can't talk about it when you're over there. So the way that comfort women were used is one of the greatest war crimes ever seen. And so when you take an entire society that is just women and you put them in a Chinese background, and the comfort women were Chinese women who were captured and abused, it feels like an apology and giving agency, where you're saying, we're going to give these women strength, we're going to make them strong, we're going to talk about their horrible past where they were clearly essayed in ways we can't even talk about, and Korean women, yes, thank you. And so to do it in this backdrop with China, clearly this felt like a connection between kind of a comfort woman glow up, where he was trying to say it without saying it. Does that make sense?
I don't think you're wrong. I also, someone pointed out that in Greek mythology, Medusa was a victim of SA, and her beauty being so great that it caused adultery is why she was cursed in vengeance. And having that be the inspiration for this makes so much sense, but at the end of it, she gets to have agency and it be important and find strength in it. And instead of just being cursed to be hideous, she maintains her beauty and it maintains a weapon. And the reason I am okay with her kicking puppies is because, like you said, she turns her beauty into a weapon. But for me, it goes a step further in that her beauty was used as a reason to take her agency away, as a reason to make her an object. So now she uses it as a reason that she gets more agency than anyone else. Why am I allowed to be terrible and still be loved? Because I'm beautiful. I am allowed to do anything. I can do anything. Yeah. And she doesn't kick puppies because she likes kicking puppies. She likes kicking puppies because she likes being able to get away with anything.
Yeah, exactly. And so I think that she just says, I will never be taken prisoner again. I will never have my beauty used against me again. And so when people are like, she's so vain, I'm like, she's not vain. She was a person who had her own looks turned into a weapon against her. So if she wants to use her beauty against other people, so be it. Go ahead. But when you listen to this part, you were slaves. When I was 12, my sisters and I were abducted from the ship at Kusha Pirates and sold into servitude. Horrible things happened. And then they showed the background, showed knives, they showed chains around their naked body. You can tell that they're naked. Things I prefer not to remember. And then her sister is grabbing her head and going, ah, like she couldn't. The first man I ever saw instilled undying fear in me. It was all so terrible. I knew nothing but despair. Come the hell on. We know it's so bad, Oda can't even write it. So she exactly uses all of it now and has complete agency. Get the hell out of my way. I will get what I want. I will do what I need to do. And my beauty is my greatest asset and my best weapon. And
ooh, whoops.
And I'm here for it. And so when she kicks the puppies and the kittens and the baby seals and stuff, I just see this as an extension of her fear and control, that she needs to have absolute control over anything. And she will always need to be the cutest, most vulnerable, great looking thing in the room.
That brings us to something I find very important to her character.
Done. Oh, do you want to talk about the love first?
That's what I wanted to talk about first. Was I think something very important about her character is the reason she falls in love with Luffy, because I feel like it's so often written off as something that I think is kind of an annoying trope, which is, oh yeah, she falls in love with Luffy because he's immune to her beauty, but it's so much more than that.
Oh, 100%. The first reason, in my opinion, when I was reading it, I was like, yeah, she should fall in love with Luffy. Luffy's A, amazing, but B, she watched how strong he was, how much power he had, how he was able to defeat her sisters, and then covered their back for them because it was so important to them. So even though he was just fighting them, he covered their back and hid them. And then when he said, can you change these statues back? And she was like, yeah, but you'll have to choose. You're either going to get on a boat and be able to get out of here and continue on with your dreams, or you can change these people back. And he was like, oh, without a question, change them back. And so for her, she actually got to witness his absolute unselfishness, which she wouldn't have got to see because people would do things for her all the time because she was beautiful. But she already saw that Luffy didn't give a shit about her beauty. And that's really, really important, I think, because Luffy was like, meh, so what? You're pretty. And none of that. And so she found out that her beauty did not affect him in the same way. She saw how strong he was. She saw that he used his humanity to cover up the back of her sister and then immediately gave away his own hopes and dreams for people who had helped him out. And she was like, oh my God, of course she would fall in love with him. Can you imagine when the way you look is your currency, your weapon, your defeater, it's everything. And then somebody comes along, is immune to it, doesn't act kindly to you for the first time ever just because you're hot and they're hoping to get you out of it, acts kindly to other people because they put others in front of themselves. Yeah, what's not to love? That must have been the first time she could ever be sure that she was seeing a real act of humanity.
I just want to make one addendum that I think is important, which is it's not just that he was like, oh, save them if that's the choice. He's excited about it. He's like, that's all? I can save them and I just have to give up the boat? That's amazing.
Yes. He was so happy. My God, that must have made her feel so good. Can you even imagine that? Oh, I was happy for her. Anyway, because of this arc and meeting her and how she and her sisters went all through this and then she became the person that she is, she's one of my very favorite characters now. You know, when you have like you've got Blackbeard and everyone seems to have like
everyone has like one or two weirder characters that they just love. Yeah,
she's mine. I love her. I think she's amazing. And everyone thought I was going to hate her because of the puppy thing.
People thought you'd either hate or love her.
And I just freaking love her. I think that she is so freaking amazing and that people don't give credit to what a truly atrocious history she has. So bad, the author refused to write any more about it and only hinted. But so bad that the author used it as a metaphor for comfort women and apology to China and gave them a entire nation built of women with strength and power and the ability to have their own agency.
I also want to
And
briefly
that's how
talk
I feel
about
about this.
that when you were first reading Boa, you disliked her a lot and were like, why
Yeah.
does the one female warlord's thing have to be being beautiful? Why does her thing have to be excusing her actions through beauty? And the next time we
Yeah.
called, you loved Boa. So I want to talk about that
Yeah.
transformation a bit.
Yeah, it was when I was reading her backstory and seeing how atrocious it was, and then watching her find her humanity through Luffy and allow herself to have that vulnerability that existed within inside her and show it, that I was just like, God damn, this is a person who has never just been able to know whether she's just liked for who she is. She has never stood before someone and just been a person. She's always just been a possession that people want to have. Even the people in her own kingdom, she uses her beauty and they all fall for it except for the grandmother, who used to be an empress, and the grandmother was like, oh my god, she's just like a puppy and blah blah blah. And I was like, so everybody sees her for her beauty. And then Luffy comes along and sees who she is, and seeing the way that Oda narrated her to suddenly be able to have open her heart and tell Luffy about her past because of that, I just fell in love with her.
I fully agree. I love Boa as a character. I love how she's introduced. I think she just comes across so powerful in every way, and her falling for Luffy, I get why some people don't like it because of the trope that it represents to a lot of people, but like, it really isn't the big reason why she falls for Luffy. Yes, if he'd fallen for her beauty, she wouldn't have, but that was one criteria, and who he is as a person is really why it happens.
And then when she falls in love too, the idea of love being so hard on her that it could have killed her, just like it could have many of the people before. I thought that was a really cool idea, that she had to do this for Luffy because she had no choice. Making Luffy happy is the thing that brought her away from the edge of death. Okay, so we go into Impel Down and we see the grandpa, who, you know, he makes me mad. Garp makes me mad all the time. I saw the place where later on in Impel Down, the reason why you would like Garp so much because of the thing that he does.
That is the first thing that made me like Garp so much. Garp is a character who has steadily raised in the ranks for me over time. Blackbeard is a character I liked immediately. The second I met the man, I was like, this guy is a top tier character. Garp has been a slow rise, but you did get to the point where I was first like, all right, I see you, man.
Oh yeah, because I did not like him in any of the other things, but when he did that, I was like, okay, but we'll talk about that later.
But yeah, let's talk about what we see of him here.
He comes to Ace and he's like, are you still alive? And Ace looks up and goes, old man. And you're like, oh, baby. And I had been wondering how Garp was gonna handle Ace being in prison. And so it was fascinating that he was just like, yeah, no, we're actually going to play that out and you're going to get to see it. Ugh, but we're not there now. And then we go to the certain island with the paw print, and we find out that where is our navigator? They are on an island where they're actually going to get to find out about things like the tricky tide wind knots and all these other things. So this is what I'm saying, that Kuma sent each one of them to a place where it is specifically tied to who they are, their strengths and weaknesses both.
Mm-hmm.
And I freaking love that, because it, more than anything else to me, it proved future Kuma, right? Because if Kuma of the future wants them to have the ability to win and to see the weaknesses, the faults, and the strengths, and to build themselves, then this is what he's gonna do. Exactly what he's done here. You get these wind knots that blow frickin' Nami half away and find out she's in the sky. I like that she's in the sky too, because that's gonna make it easier for her to get back eventually, in my opinion. Frankie going to a place where, and of course refusing to wear a coat, which I really, really enjoy for Frankie, that he's like, no, we're going to do this dance and we're going to hang out and I'm going to continue to be in my Speedos. Nobody does Speedos like Frankie. But Frankie being on a place that's for cyborgs, like, come on. I predict, because if not, how ridiculously stupid, that Frankie is going to find ways to modify himself even stronger and more impressively. and he's going to find out some sort of secret that's going to help them out.
All right. So he'll discover a secret and upgrade himself? Let's make those separate predictions. Oh, people want to know your thoughts about Fisher Tiger.
Yeah, I was trying to figure out, is he still the captain of the Sun Pirates?
The captain of the Sun Pirates now is Jinbei.
Oh, so it just is Jinbei. Yeah, that's what I thought. So I was wondering where the dude went. The fact that Fisher Tiger is so much like Jinbei, are they related?
Who's to say?
Okay.
If they are, at this point, we don't know.
Then they probably are. Oh, let me also say how important it is that Hancock is able to take Luffy to Impel Down and to help get to be one of the people who is, and to get to be one of the people who is releasing all the prisoners, because that would be like a real, and once she found out that old Jim was there, that would be a real big deal for her to get to be the person who helped to release the people from Impel Down, because it would make her feel like she had come full circle and paid back old Jim. That's Jinbei.
Yeah, old Jim is Jinbei. It's important to note. You might be hearing old Jim over and over again and being like, who the fuck is Jim? Mama has decided to call Jinbei old Jim. Can I tell you why?
He reminds me?
No.
Go ahead. Yeah, he reminds me of my grandpa Jim. So I call him old Jim. Her getting to release old Jim from prison, or being part of the thing that helps the prisoners escape, would be this so full circle moment for Hancock, because she was released from Fisher Tiger, and Fisher Tiger was, even though she was a human, was the person who gave her back her life. And so for her to then get to turn around and give it back to old Jim and be a part of the side of breaking him out of prison, to her would have felt like paying off a debt, which would have probably would feel like she had come the whole way around and now had enough agency that she was able to do the same thing that somebody did for her.
No, it's all good. I just love when we come to a character that you get your own Luffy-like name for. Like, now we have Crocodile Face and Old Jim, two of the warlords. The Warlords of the Sea, Sir Crocodile Face and Old Jim.
And I'm sticking with it. I really liked when we saw the tattoo on her back, and then she explained to Luffy that the reason that he's seeing all of the sun tattoos on the different crew members that are like our octopus friend and others was because they took the frickin' hoof print of the dragons, which makes you think that at one point or another, these piece o' the crap dragons, oh my god, is there going to be an ultimate dragon? Is dragon not the ultimate dragon? Are these pieces of crap going to have a dragon at the top who's an actual dragon and still has a footprint? Oh, please, no. Oh my god, that would suck so bad.
All right.
Yeah, tattoo brand. So, explains that this thing was repurposed and turned into a sun. And when I found out that it was turned into a sun and that's what they had on there, I started to think about all the different places inside of the manga where we see sun symbolism. And so we created a page of it.
If you want to contribute to this, by the way, this is on the Discord.
And I'm not done with it yet. So feel free to join our Discord. And if you can think of anywhere in the manga where we see sun images, stick them on in there. Because when we see all the different sun imagery, it started to make me wonder if so I started to wonder if the people with the D are the descendants of the missing nations of the 100 Years. If you have a D in your name, Monkey D, Luffy, blah, 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 D. Yeah, I see you. That's why I don't know how to talk about it, but I just gave up.
You gotta say it.
You just got to say it. If those people are descendants of nations from the missing 100 years who were taken over from the Void Century. So one of the things that I was wondering about is the sun symbols that we see everywhere. And I started to wonder if the sun symbols were part of Sun God or part of the looking at the gods of the past for the missing 100 years were all sun things. So we started to notice that there was sun symbology everywhere, not just in this hoof print that's turned into the sun. but we started to see it everywhere and all these things. And as we started to pull it out and have it in Discord, there is so many places that a sun symbol is used in prominent places. And the dragons don't use it. If it reminded me of when I went to the Vatican, and the Vatican is covered in, ironically, sun symbolism that was borrowed from other people's, Mama D Rock, thank you, Mama D Rock, that was borrowed from other people's worshipping of Ra and other different deities. And rather than get rid of them entirely, because sometimes they were like bronze imprints or statues or whatever else they were, they just don't highlight them or mention them. They just become a part of the overall thing. And it reminded me of what's going on in here. So I wondered if sun symbolism is something that is left over from the Void Century, and if Luffy becoming the sun god, which he will, I don't know how that's going to look now. I think it's going to look weird now that I've seen some of the other things that he's done.
So excited to talk about Impelled Down. We're like 20 minutes away from Impelled Down. It's going to be great.
Yeah. But if Luffy being the sun god is a throwback from these people, or from the people, because I think the Void Century had people who clearly fought against the stupid, ugly, dragon-faced jerkheads who put their stupid hoof print into the back of all of their slave as a way of branding them. And so I think that those people who are missing, it's why we have all these people who are the D. They're deeply connected Ds to the people who are missing from the Void Century, and that their symbolism is still seen throughout the land of One Piece in all these different ways, that we don't talk about it as much or pay attention to it as much, but the sun is symbolized everywhere, and it's a way that eventually we're going to use that sun symbol, and Luffy is going to be at the center of that as a way of pulling people back into the future and fighting against the powers of the dragons who are in right now, who can eat dirt upside down so it falls up their nose. The fishmen choosing the sun symbol to free themselves from slavery and using it as a symbol of freedom started to make me think like, oh, I also wondered then, is haki a leftover trait of the missing 100 years? Is it part of this thing that's within the culture because people used to be more connected to their powers and their magic or their strengths in this way? And is it possible then that haki couldn't quite go away, but it's part of the thing that came from the 100 missing years?
All right.
Yeah. If you believe in the sun god, you also believe in the moon god. Yeah. So people ask this. So interestingly, I read 4 pages into the arc after this. Turn the
after
page.
Impelled Down.
Boom. After Impelled Down. Yeah, sorry. Turn the page. Boom. Right there from up above. Marineford it's the shape of a crescent moon. And so now I think the battle is between light and dark. The sun gods, all the different pieces in it that are all light, and then dark. And you've got Marineford being the shape of the moon, the night, the taking over of darkness. And then Teach with his ability to have a black hole as his fruit. And Luffy, who I think is going to be able to use his haki as being the sun god, not his devil fruit. So Teach can blow chunks. Eventually, when Luffy gets up to that level, his haki is going to be able to be the thing that creates it. So Teach can steal his devil fruit powers all day long. But the thing that Luffy is going to use to defeat him is going to be his actual haki abilities, which will be the sun. And so I think that they are just a representation of the larger picture that's going on with this missing 100 years, and there being a whole group of people who are lightness, brightness, sun, and then the badass, stupid jerk faces who are darkness, the moon, etc.
Now,
and so I'm really looking forward to seeing how that plays out.
Now, something I added on to you talking about this, where you were talking about the D clan representing the sun,
yeah,
and Teach is obviously darkness. I brought up that doesn't make sense, and then I went, that makes so much sense, because there's a difference between the darkness of night, the absence of the sun, and the darkness of a black hole, the death of a sun. Teach is part of the D
Exactly.
clan because he represents the end of it. He represents the what comes next for it, the future darkness that is the end of the story, not the oppression. He is the complete
Exactly.
undoing, and that's why his power is a black hole, because the darkness he embodies is something different and something that comes from the death of a star, not its being hidden.
And him being the death of an old son descended from people made me think like, oh, so Teach, who has the will of D and is a missing person, is also the ancestor or reincarnation of something else. And it started to make me wonder, like, I don't know who Teach comes from and what he is supposed to represent yet. I don't know where to put that piece of crap. But I know that maybe he is a representation as somebody who might have caused these big problems in the past and helped to have been one of the reasons that there was separation, and that the people who lost to the original dragons have been hidden from history.
Hey,
and so now I'm wondering,
I've got a place you can put Teach.
Is it a blender?
It's a throne, baby! Make him the king!
Oh my god. No. So I think Teach has a lot more going on. All right. Into the shredder with Teach. Put him in the shredder.
To the
put him in
Pirate
the
King
shredder.
throne.
Right into the shredder. So who is a god that we know of right now?
Anaru.
That's the only one that we think is Anaru, right? Is just that would be our only quote unquote god?
I'd say so at the moment. Oh yeah, no, the Celestials call themselves gods. They call themselves the gods of the world.
Well, yeah, that's
Celestial
what I was
dragons.
kind of thinking of. And I don't know if the Celestials are actually
God.
gods. We talked about
Gandalf, God.
What?
Gonfall.
Okay. So they are self-proclaimed as gods. And I don't know if there is like an tippy-top celestial dragon who's an actual dragon, or... Nah, I'm going to think about that later.
I think it is a thing you said when we were on a call, that you think there is one who is higher up than the Gorosei.
I feel like there's a dragon who is like the pinnacle of the stupid dumb dragons.
Yeah.
Because when we have like we have the 5 celestials who are supposedly part of the dragons, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they are controlling the government like a black force of bullshit.
The black force of bullshit.
And then I think that there's going to be a higher level that we just haven't seen yet. That there is somebody who is like the ultimate. And that the 5 celestials are like penultimates.
Well, so people
together.
are saying they call themselves the gods when there's nothing to legitimize it. And I'm saying, no, there is a lot to legitimize it. They rule the world without question. Everything they say happens. They are completely immune to consequence. They are allowed complete sovereignty. They do as they wish. The world bows to them. They are effectively gods. They are given that power. Like, they aren't like a king where if they do a bad job, revolutions can happen, which the revolutionaries have been dealing with. They are, up to this point, completely exempt from the rules of humanity. The Celestial Dragons are effectively gods. But they are not immune to Luffy, which I always read at this point as our main character being the man who fights gods, and Mama Drock reads as a sign that Luffy is a god because he steps to their domain.
Yep.
But it's the same way Anaru's a god by the way he was treated and the way that he was acknowledged. He said he was a god and people bowed to him and prayed and let him be exempt from the rules of humanity.
Are we almost ready to rock and roll?
Yeah, I think, well, we got to do our closing segments because remember, this is its own YouTube video. So...
is this going to be its own YouTube video?
Yeah, we're making 2 separate YouTube videos. I'm going to edit this part and Cricket's going to edit the second part.
In that case... let me do my plug first.
Yeah, you're going to get 2 plugs today. Chat, aren't you so excited? You get to counter in twice. Everybody? Oh, wait, Kaido's doing the long countdown.
Hi there, YouTube. You should subscribe.
What? Should they? Yeah?
That's good, don't you think?
We don't have more than that? That's it?
Oh no, coughing fit.
Is there anything else you want to say? Maybe that if they subscribe and they ring the bell, they'll get notifications when we post new content, or that, look, guys, we missed the mark. We're not going to hit 50,000 in time for me to do the Marco cosplay. But Marco does come back in the story, and if we hit 50,000 by that point, I will do it. We don't want to say any of that?
No, I don't want to bore the people of YouTube. I mean, you know this is good. Subscribe.
Okay. All right, YouTube, you heard the woman. Mama's edible kicked in, someone says.
Okay, let's do my top 5.
Yeah, this is a weird one because there's not that many characters this arc.
Yeah, but I loved this arc.
It's great.
I think people underestimate this. This is where I discovered like all the different ways that haki can be used, and that there might be an actual prophecy about Luffy, or just how strong he was, and da-da-da-da-da. Like, I was just like, oh, there's so much here. I love this.
Mm-hmm.
And I was crushed for Hancock, finding out her story and understanding her hell. Oh, God, so crushing. Number 1, Boa. No competition. Hands down.
I'm
Boom.
shocked. I'm shocked.
Boa. Boa is also now one of my top favorite characters. I love her so much. Her and I can't be best friends. She's been hurt too badly. She doesn't have the ability to best friend yet.
Oh no! Boa's on her healing journey.
But you know what? I'm there for her. And when she's ready, we can friend it up. When she's ready to friend it up, I'm there. I'm there for her. Number 2. Isn't this kind of weird? Yeah, because it's all these people from... I think number 2 for me is the old emperor.
Old lady
the
emperor?
Old empress. Yeah. What was her name?
Oh boy, I can't remember. She says Nyan all the time.
She says Yeah, she says Neon, or Nyan, but I don't think that's her name, is it?
No, I don't remember her name.
Nyan.
Gloriosa.
No, Gloriosa. I love her. And I pick her. And not picking her would be ridiculous. First of all, she was the last empress. Second of all, she rocks.
Funny enough, they don't actually say she was the last empress. She just was a previous empress.
I don't adore that Boa is all pissy about her, because I'm like, come on, Boa.
Well, Boa says that she was exiled until she saved the sisters.
Yeah, exactly.
So like or helped save the sisters. So there's something she did dishonored her.
Yeah. She's old. She could drop dead at any time.
Oh, they say she's 2 generations ago. Okay.
Gloriosa, former Empress of Amazon Lily. Your reign was over 3 generations ago.
Oh.
Yeah. Anyways, she's my number 2. God damn, this is a funny episode. It's such a funny arc.
It's great.
I'm not gonna lie. Every
Comedy's
time I watch her do that head tilt back, I'm like, yeah, baby. I'm here for this. It's such a great head tilt. Who's the lady that Luffy runs off into the forest with the bobbed hair?
I think that's Marguerite, right?
I think it's Marguerite as well. So I just needed to check. Yes, Marguerite is my number 3.
Hell yeah. Marguerite's great.
I love me some Marguerite.
Yeah.
Who is the sister who is larger?
Marigold?
Yeah, I love Marigold.
Yeah, there's the one that's fat but has like normal human body proportions, and the one that's skinny but has a giant head.
No, I don't like the bobblehead one. It scares me. No, I don't like that one at all. She was a no for me. That's going to be a no for me.
Oh no.
No, but I love the fat one.
Okay.
She's awesome. She gets to be number 4.
I find Sonia's bobblehead design kind of endearing.
I feel like I have to pick her because she's so up there in the arc.
Look, you said she freaks you out. You don't have to.
But she scares me.
Yeah, don't pick her if she scares you. Be honest.
I'm scared of her.
Maintain the validity of this. Now, I like her. I find her weird ass design really endearing for whatever reason, but you don't have to.
I don't.
The problem is there just aren't that many characters.
I like the chick, and I'm trying to find her. She's such a weirdo. Somebody else's favorite too. Somebody in the thing was like,
the
"This
giant
is my
dummy?
favorite." Sweet Pea.
Okay.
I like Sweet Pea. Yeah, that's the one. Although I could have picked other ones too. Like when I look through it, actually, there's a bunch of ones that are kind of cool in
I
here.
honestly
It's just
like that the
they all
designs
blend.
of women are more interesting and diverse and allowed to be weird in Amazon Lily in a way that it feels like the rest of One Piece hadn't done to this point. I think because Oda realized
But you
without any
know,
men, he wanted to keep drawing weird people, so he had to do something. We didn't do a
wait,
worst of Amazon Lily, but there wasn't enough characters.
I'm doing it right
Yeah,
now.
retroactive?
I'm doing a worst. Pardon?
Retroactive. Let
A
me hear it.
retroactive. Yeah, you're not gonna like it.
Yeah, okay.
It's the big-headed sister. She freaks me out.
Fair. Fair enough.
The big-headed sister makes me feel uncomfortable. I know, guys, but she makes me feel uncomfortable, and I'm allowed to change it anytime I want. It is what it is. Come on, don't boo me. I'm just one kid, and I'm adorable.
Oh man, that's great.
So at the end of this, when we find out, so those are my top 5, and the devil fruit is just giving me suspicions. Come
What devil
on.
fruit? What's up?
The devil fruit of the two sisters being snake fruits when they come from a snake kingdom. How were the dragons able to get a hold of those particular devil fruits and intentionally give them to them? How do they have such easy ability, not the chopstick dance, the thing with the weird shaking baskets? How do they have such an easy ability to not only get devil fruits? You can only have one fruit going on at a time, and yet they managed to just find 2 different types of snakes. That feels very suspicious. Like they have that kind of ability to get the fruit they want. Okay. It's not just about their being rich. They're too easily able to pick the fruits that match to their frickin' nation. A nation all about snakes? Come on. And then they're just 2 different types of snakes that they give to these young girls. That feels way too on the nose and starts to make me question if the pieces of crap formerly known as the dragons, the celestial dragons, or as I like to call them, the real drags.
Sorry, I missed your really good name for them. Can we go back there?
The real drags.
Perfect, brilliant. Yeah. Got it in one.
That they have the best ability to get the fruits that they want whenever they want. And that feels very much like they are closer to the source.
Okay. And have we still come to a theory yet on what the source of the devil fruits are?
Do you know what the source of the devil fruit is?
I'm not going to tell you this.
Yeah, that's right.
You expect me to tell you? You expect me to tell you what I know and don't know?
Yeah, and how come none of the real drags have used devil fruit powers?
Not that we've seen.
Exactly. Why? This is the question. The question of the day is, why are you using them but won't have them used on you? Can you not take them? Is there something about you that means that you can't take them? Or are you using them as a way of controlling others?
It's obvious. They're gods, so they can't have a devil fruit.
No.
Is there anything else we need to cover?
I say no. What do we usually do at the ends of these things? I would not want their fruit at all.
Yeah, I don't think any of these fruit are entering the top for you, huh?
No. No, thank you. No fruit changes. I don't want any of these fruit. But I just want to give a tip of the hat to Oda here, historically, and just say, as one lover and studier of history to another, I really appreciated you using the Chinese aesthetic in this arc. And I think that you used it as a quiet way of talking about something that needs attention, and I super appreciated it.
He did it literally about as loudly as you can get away with in Japan.
I would agree.
I would agree. For anyone who doesn't know, if you try to acknowledge atrocities Japan has committed in Japan, it goes incredibly poorly.
I could not believe how much there was in this arc that was corkboardy that made you think of other things. Now I just keep thinking like, okay, where else can we use haki and what else can it be put on? And so many things. I love the highlighting you did on her. I think that you did Hancock well.
Thank you. I wanted to try to go for hard angles, I decided, because usually if you want to make a woman look sexy, you use a lot of curved lines, so I thought it would get the vibe better with some harder angles.
Oh, Luffy. Luffy in this is...
Where do we rank Luffy? And then we got to do our goodbyes, which everyone are fake goodbyes because we're going to be back for Impel Down and for you guys. Those are YouTube goodbyes.
For me, even though this is unusual because Luffy is good for a different reason in this one, he shows the goodness of his humanness.
Mm-hmm.
And because he does that, he also does it alone. And we see that his values haven't changed over this time. He admits how much he needs his crew because he's like, I could steal a boat, but if I stole a boat, I would just be literally floating around in the island lost because I don't have Nami. He admits all the things that he's missing because he's missing his crew, the things he no longer can do. And because he's not around other influences either, he's just a more pure version of himself. Like even Oda said in one of the SBS when they were like, how come Luffy was slobbering over the women in the shower before, but suddenly when Hancock is there, he's not? And then Oda is like, because he was with Usopp when that happened and he just kind of followed along Usopp, like kind of sheep-like. So what you're seeing is how he would react when he isn't sheep-like following other people's legs.
Whoops.
And so it made me feel like we were getting to see a more true version of Luffy almost in this panel. Anyway, I S-tier him because of this.
Fair. A lot of people are like, speaking of Nami, because people have been like, where's Nami? Guys, Nami doesn't always have to be thrown off the chart. Sometimes she's literally just not there. She's literally not on the island, guys.
And can I just say that I think overall, Nami is my second favorite Straw Hat.
Yeah, you love Nami. It's just she doesn't often do show-stealing things.
I want to put her on because she's so essential, and yet I keep taking her off because it's just not quite as big as the others.
Let's do our YouTube goodbye before we move on to Impel Down.
Can I start?
Yeah, go for
the
it.
YouTube? Bye, YouTube.
Yeah, you wanna... Anything you think that's about? You figuring that?
See you later.
Okay, cool. Hey, thanks for everybody for being here. Thank you for watching. If you're watching this in like the couple of days this is up on its own, we are going to be trying to get these out very quick. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you had a good time. I had a great time.
Wait.
Uh-huh.
I do want to say something.
Okay.
I recognize that by you watching this, you're spending time that you could be doing on anything else. So when you choose to watch us, I know that it's a real honor, and that's never lost on me. I was just talking to somebody. Oh, it was your dad.
Uh-huh.
You know him from such places as being your dad.
Yep.
And he said, it must mean a lot to you that some people choose to watch this and they watch you hang out and do this, and they could be doing anything else. They could be going for a walk, hanging out with their family, watching anything else, and they choose you. That says a lot. And it really made me think of like, time is currency, and people choosing to use their time on us, that's really sweet.
Aww.
Yeah.
That is really sweet.
Now you be sentimental. So really I was sentimental, but really it was your dad. You know him from such places as your childhood.
Thank you guys so much for being here. It means the world that we get to do this. I'm thrilled. I'm thinking all the time about what we get to do for you next, and you've given us an opportunity to talk about something that I love more than any other work of fiction. Being able to do that and to talk to you guys has been amazing, and I so look forward to getting to do it right to the end with all of you. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time, it's been lovely talking to you. I'm erasing women.